Okay. This is a new chapter. Chapter 14 is on equation of a straight line. This is day 74, chapter 14's first part. Talking about a straight line. Any straight line has an equation. You come across simultaneous equations, solving simultaneous equations. You need two equations to solve them. Okay. Each of the simultaneous equation is an equation of a straight line. An example for a simultaneous equation is of this sort. 3x plus 4y is equal to say 5. One of the simultaneous equation is this. 3x plus 4y is equal to 5. There is an unknown x, there is an unknown y. This is the equation of a straight line. So, all straight lines have an equation of this sort, okay, having an unknown x and an unknown y. So, all simultaneous equations which you come across are all equations of a straight line. So, that's what we are going to see in this chapter, equation of a straight line. Before we actually go to the equation of a straight line, there are a few things that you have to know. Every straight line has a slope. Okay. Slope is also called gradient. Slope, otherwise called gradient. How steep is the line? Gives you the slope or the gradient of a straight line. Look at this figure. This is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. And the straight line that I have drawn is this one. So it is at a slant. So this has some slope. Okay. So to find the slope, there are two methods of finding slope. The first method is you have to know the angle made by the straight line on the positive direction of the x-axis. Angle made by the straight line on the positive direction of the x-axis. This straight line meets the x-axis here at this point. Okay. And remember this, I said this, the angle should be made on the positive direction of the x-axis. If you look at this, this is the x-axis. This is the positive side of the x-axis. Why? Because the readings will be, if you divide them, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, all positive values. And this side of the x-axis is the negative side, -1, -2, -3, -4 and so on. Okay. This is the negative side of the x-axis, this is the positive side of the x-axis. But I never said anything about the positive side of the x-axis. I said the positive direction of the x-axis. Look at this. You have to know, to find slope, you have to know the angle made by the straight line on the positive direction of the x-axis. Now, which direction is the positive direction of the x-axis? Is this side, this direction. This is the positive direction of the x-axis. This is the negative direction of the x-axis. So, this is the straight line. On the right side of the line is the positive direction of the x-axis, and on the left side of the line is the negative direction of the x-axis. So again, if you have to find slope, you have to know the angle made by the straight line with the x-axis, and that angle should be on the positive direction of the x-axis, which means the angle should be on the right side of the line. So the angle made between the line and the x-axis, that is, this is the angle. This angle is made on the positive direction of the x-axis because it's on the right side of the line. This angle which is here, is made on the negative direction of the x-axis. We don't need that. We only need the angle made by the line on the positive direction of the x-axis. So what I have done is, this is the straight line. The angle made on the positive direction I have considered as theta. Theta could be any number. So if this angle is known, then you can find the slope of this line. Okay. So the formula for finding slope of a line is slope when the angle made by the straight line on the positive direction of the x-axis is known. So if you know the angle made by the straight line on the positive direction of the x-axis. So the angle made here was theta. Okay. If it is so, slope, which is represented by small m, slope is always represented by small m, is given as tan of the angle made there. So tan, the angle made here is theta. So tan theta's value will give you the slope of that straight line. Imagine that this theta value was 45. So slope will be tan 45 degrees. Tan 45's value is 1. If this angle was 60 degrees, then this will be tan 60 degrees. Tan 60 is root 3, and so on. Okay. So depending on this angle, you can find the slope. So that's the first method of finding the slope. The second method of finding the slope is slope when 2 points on the straight line are known. This is your x-axis, this is the y-axis, this is the straight line. You don't know this angle. Angle is not known. In the previous case, you had to know the angle to find the slope. But here, this angle is not known. But on the straight line, you know 2 points. A, whose coordinates are x1, y1, all numbers. B's coordinates are x2, y2, this is also some numbers. So if these 2 points are known, then you can find the slope. So slope is given by the formula. If you know 2 points, then slope, which is represented as small m, is given as y2 minus y1, subtract both the y values in the numerator, divided by x2 minus x1, subtract both the x values. y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1 will give you the slope of the straight line. Okay. So that's the second formula of finding slope. Next, the third one that you have to know. This is your x-axis, this is the y-axis, and there are 2 lines here. This is the first line, line 1, L1 means line 1. This is the second line, that's L2. Line 1 and line 2 are there. And you know that both these lines are parallel. Okay. If these 2 lines are parallel, then these 2 angles are same. These 2 angles will be same. Okay. That's the angle made by the first line on the positive direction of the x-axis, and the angle made by the second line on the positive direction of the x-axis. Both will be same because these 2 lines are parallel. Okay. So if this angle is theta, this angle also must be theta. So both having the same angle, if angles are same, using angles you can find the slope. Okay. So slope of this will be tan theta, slope of this line is also tan theta. So both are tan theta, which means the slopes are equal. So if 2 lines are parallel, these are conditions of parallelism of slopes. First condition is if these 2 lines are parallel. So if 2 straight lines are parallel, then their slopes are equal, because the angles made in both cases are same. Therefore their slopes must be equal. So for the first line, slope is m1. Slope is represented as m1 means for the first line, and for the second line, slope is m2. m1 and m2's value will be same if the 2 lines are parallel. Next condition is if 2 straight lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes is -1. If 2 straight lines are parallel, then their slopes are equal. m1 and m2 will be equal. But if 2 straight lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes is -1. This is the first line, line 1. This is the second line, line 2. You can see the angle made between them is 90. So this line and this line are perpendicular. So if these 2 lines are perpendicular, then angle made by the first line is alpha, angle made by the second line, see this is the second line, and I said the angle made is always on the right side of the line. So this is the angle made, beta. So for the first one, slope is tan alpha, and for the second line, angle is beta, therefore slope is tan beta. Both are not same. Okay. So for the first line, the slope is m1, and for the second line, the slope is m2. If these lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes, that is, if you multiply the slopes of both the lines, m1 into m2, it will always give you a -1. Okay. So this is the condition if the two lines are perpendicular. If the two lines are parallel, m1 and m2 are equal. If two lines are perpendicular, then m1 into m2 is -1. This is the next condition that you have to know. Then, these are about slopes. Two formula for finding slope. First one is if you know the angle, slope is given as tan theta. Second one is if you know 2 points on the straight line, then y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 will give you the slope. And two conditions for slope. One is if two lines are parallel, m1 is equal to m2, and if two lines are perpendicular, then m1 into m2 is equal to -1. Those are about slopes. Now coming about equation of a straight line. There are three types of equations, okay, depending on what you know to find the equation of a straight line. For the first one, the first equation is called slope-intercept form, otherwise called the general equation of a straight line. Usually, the general equation of a straight line is given as y is equal to mx plus c. That time I gave you the equation of a straight line is the equation of any simultaneous equation is any simultaneous equation. Okay. Say the example that time I gave you was 3x plus 4y is equal to 5 was the example which I gave you. Where there is an unknown x, unknown y. The rest are all numbers. Okay. So the y here is this y, and the x here is this x, which means this should be a number, this also must be a number. Okay. So this and this will remain the same, that's the x and y, and the rest are numbers. So the general equation, or it's also called the slope-intercept form, is given as y is equal to mx plus c. So y is the same y as in this one. M stands for slope, so that's the slope. So if you know the slope, you can find the equation. Plus, there's something called c. C is the y-intercept. Now what is this y-intercept? I've drawn the figure here. Look at this. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. This is the line. This line cuts the y-axis here. It meets the y-axis at this point. The distance from the origin, this is the origin. Distance from the origin to where this line meets the y-axis, this distance is called c, otherwise called the y-intercept. So if you have to find the equation, you have to know two things here. One is slope, the other one is y-intercept. That is, value of m you have to know and value of c. If these two values are known, then you can find the equation. And that equation is otherwise called slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. Okay. Then, the next method of finding the equation of a straight line, when one point on the straight line and its slope are known. Again, I have drawn a figure here, x-axis, y-axis, this is the line. For this line, you know the slope, I put a tick mark, means showing that you know the slope. And on this straight line, you know one point, anywhere on the line, you can have, you know one point. That one point is x1, y1. Again, these are some numbers. You know m value, you know one point. If these two are known, you can still find the equation. The equation is given as y, again, y is the unknown y which will always remain in the equation. And this x also will remain in the equation. So you don't substitute anything for this x and this y. Okay? So y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Y remains the same, no change for this, minus y1 is this y coordinate which you have to substitute, is equal to m is the slope that you know of the line, into x remains the same, minus x1 is the coordinate of x, which is here. Substitute them, you will get the equation. That's the second method of finding equation. The third method of finding the equation is equation of a straight line when 2 points on the straight line are known. In the previous case, you knew slope and 1 point. But now, this is the x-axis, the y-axis, this is the line. You don't know the slope, but on the straight line, you know 2 points. This is 1 point, x1, y1 are some numbers. This is the second point, which is x2, y2. So if 2 points are known, then the equation is given as y minus y1, first y value. This y will remain same. y1 is a number which you have to substitute by y2 is this y value which you can substitute minus again y1, same thing, is equal to x is unknown minus x1 is this value which you have to substitute by x2 is this value and x1 is this value. So all that you have to substitute is y1's value, here x1's value, y2's value and x2's value, y and x will remain the same. So this is the third method of finding equation of a straight line. Going to solving questions from the exercise. Exercise 14, question number 1, subdivision C. State the slope m and y-intercept of the line. You have to find the slope and y-intercept. Okay. Slope is represented as m, y-intercept is represented as c. So you have to find m and c's value. Of the equation that is given, the equation is this 2x plus 4y minus 2 is equal to 0. So to find the value of m and c, all that you have to do is arrange this according to the first equation which I told you, which is called the slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus c. On the left side you have y, and on the right side first comes the x and then comes the c. Okay. So this has to be arranged. This is the equation that is given. This has to be arranged in the form y is equal to mx plus c. Y should be on the left, as I said. X should be the first term on the right and then the c value. So y should be on the left. So I am keeping this on the same side, shifting this to the other side, minus 2x, 2x goes that side, minus 2x, and then the minus 2 goes that side, becomes plus 2. Okay. But again, this is the form that you have to arrange it in, this one. So if you look at this, there is no number before y. Okay. But here you have a 4 before y, so the 4 should be shifted to the other side. But when you shift it to the other side, don't put a common division sign and put a 4 below. Put this 4 separately for each term which is there on the right side. So 4 is going to go that side, which means y is remaining is equal to minus 2 has to be divided by 4 and then comes the x plus 2 has to be divided by 4. If you simplify this, that becomes 1, that becomes 2. That's 1, that's 2. So y is equal to minus 1 by 2x plus 1 by 2. Now check this and this whether they are in the same form. Y is equal to that whole thing is m. And then comes the x plus this whole thing is c. So now this is arranged in this form. Y is equal to mx plus c. So y is equal to m is this value. Therefore m's value is minus 1 by 2 and the last term is c's value, c is 1 by 2. Okay. Next. Question number 6. Find the equation of the following line. Given y-intercept of 2 by 3 and a slope of 2. Y-intercept is 2 by 3, which means C's value, this is C's value, is 2 by 3. And slope is 2. Slope means M's value is 2. You know C, you know M. So if you know C and M, then if you have to find the equation, use the slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form is this one. Y is equal to mx plus C. So y remains the same, is equal to m's value is 2. So 2x plus c's value is 2 by 3. Don't leave it like this, you have to arrange it. First comes the x term, then comes the y term, and then the constant. Okay. So again, I'll just represent a normal equation. Any equation of a straight line is in this form. 2x plus 3y is equal to 5. That's the general equation. Okay. Look at this. First comes the x term, then comes the y term, then comes the constant. You can write the constant on the other side, or you can write the constant on the left side itself. Okay. So, to simplify this, I'm going to find LCM. LCM is 3. Y remains the same. This becomes 6x plus this is 2. Multiply the 3 here. That gives you 3y is equal to 6x plus 2. Now arrange this. As I said, x should be first. And x is positive, so let it remain there. So 6x is on this side, but when I write it on the left side. Which means 3y has to go that side. 3y goes that side, it becomes minus 3y. Plus 2 is equal to, everything has come this side, nothing left on the other side, so equal to 0. Okay. So that's the equation of this straight line. Next is question 8. Given y-intercept of 4 and inclination of 45 degrees with the positive direction of the x-axis. You have to find the equation. If y-intercept is 4, which means c's value is 4. C is 4. And inclination of 45 degrees with the positive direction of the x-axis. Inclination means the angle made on the positive direction, which means this is theta's value is 45 degrees. So C's value is 4, theta value is 45. Okay. So you know C, you know theta. If you know theta, which means you can find the slope. Okay. So using this, let's find slope. M is equal to tan theta, if you know the angle. So M is equal to tan, theta value is 45 degrees. Tan 45 is 1, which means M's value is 1. Slope is 1. So equation of the line, see what all you know. You know C, you know M. M and C you know. So use the slope-intercept form. So equation of the line is y is equal to mx plus c. Okay. Y is equal to mx plus c. Y is equal to m's value is 1 and then x plus c's value is 4. So the equation, if you rearrange, first comes x, this goes that side, minus y plus 4 is equal to 0 is the equation of this straight line. And the homework is exercise 14, question numbers 1, subdivision A, B, D, E and F, and then questions 4, 5 and 7.